we doing? All right, I'm back again. I just had to take this whole thing off because I got it wrong. I think I had it on a photo, but I'm going to try to run this past you again. This is a continuation of what we talked about a few days ago, and it's Tidbit from the Love Notes. And the share is from the Woodstream Church when I went to the Women's Institute, which is like a women's Sunday school at Woodstream Church. Okay. And so this is just a continuation of that. And that script is from Revelations 3:15 to 16. The script shares about the weakness in faith and weakness in faith, and we need to be depending on our loving God, for our strength rather than relying on ourselves because we don't know what's up. We didn't know COVID was coming. We didn't know this administration was coming in and people were going to lose their jobs. And we didn't know that families would be separated and people would be put out of the country and put to be eaten by alligators or all these insane things that we hear about. We didn't know all that, but God knows, so we got to be on the right side of us, and we need our loving God and his strength for our wherewithal to be able to move forward and be who he's put us here to be, because we are never enough. We're never enough. We don't know. And so the teacher in this class at this session, which I didn't tell you this before, she divided us into two parts. The hot part, because the heading for the Sunday school lesson was, "Are you hot for God?" What she used the word coffee. Or you want your coffee hot, or do you want your coffee cold, or are you lukewarm? So she divided the group into hot people and cold people, and so I was on the hot side, and that was good, right? And so basically when the people stood up and talked about, because we did turn and talk, and when they talked about people on the cold side, it was about complaining all the time, not really trusting and loving God, just complaining, not thinking that God would have some resolve. He would handle this stuff, just like getting through COVID. He handled it, and we that stayed on the right side of it got through, did what we were supposed to do. And basically, people do complaining and not believing in God. And then a second item was that people are always looking for what's wrong. People that are cold or lukewarm, they're not looking for anything right. They're just complaining about everything that's wrong. They don't see the sky. They don't see the land. They don't see that they have a place to live in or getting food to eat. They just see what's wrong. Prices are up at the store. Prices are up at the gas station. Everybody hates everybody. And that's all they can think about, complaining and looking for the wrong. And then another item that group mentioned was believing and sharing disinformation, because a lot of the people that are lukewarm or cold are staying on the television, staying in social media, listening to all this disinformation. They don't know what's true, but then they go out and spread it to other people saying, "Did you hear this? This is going to happen. We're all going to be killed. The army is going to come in and take over all of us and shoot us and get rid of us, especially if your skin is colored." I mean, can you imagine? People are sharing that kind of stuff and terrifying people because they're lukewarm or cold for God and his love. And so then there are people that are lukewarm or cold, and they're not a friend of God's, and they're refusing to pray. They just say, "No, no, not this time. No, I'm not praying. I don't believe in it, because if all that's going on is going on, I'm not praying because I don't believe in it." And then they're depressed. They stay in, they're not around God-centered people or going to services or listening to gospel, or they're not doing anything to keep themselves lifting up. They're just depressed and sad. They don't even go to therapy to get help. They just sit around refusing to pray and staying depressed. So basically, to have peace and a sense of resolve and knowing that our loving God will handle things, the complaining has to stop. Cold, lukewarm complaining don't work. We have to know that God will resolve this, and we have to not be looking at what's wrong, but look at our blessings. And so that would be on the hot side, looking at our blessing. That's a hot tidbit. And also, we have to stay positive, not be just talking all this negative about everything that's wrong. And we have to keep on praying, and especially praying for those that we know that are super troubled, and pray for ourselves, pray for our families, pray for our neighbors, our country, and even pray for our president, that he realize the love of God and how he needs to invest in that and let that guide his thoughts and ways. Pray. That's where it's really needed. So that's basically the share today. And we're talking about having peace and staying focused. And important for us is to just do what we're put here to do. And I told you that I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I asked God and he showed me, and that's why I'm talking to you now, because God showed me that this is what he wanted me to do. You really trust in the Lord and you pray, so you need to share that with other people. That and get out here and give gifts. You're able to do it and lift them up and listen to people, hear what they say, and then rub their back and try to get them to calm down and realize through your planting of seeds in them, they can be better and the world can be a better place. Okay, well, I'm so glad I got a chance to share with you. I'm still having my dark roast coffee and my muffin, and you just know that we love you. All right, tidbits from the Love Notes.